New question, the member from Niagara Falls.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Premier. Earlier this morning, York University professor Dr. Fred Lazar published a report that confirmed what the NDP has been saying for years. Auto insurance companies are making huge, excessive profits on the back of Ontario families. In 2016, in just 1 year, auto insurance companies in Ontario have made $1.5 billion in pre-tax profits. That's an increase of nearly 60% since 2012. Why did the Premier deliver a 60% increase in profits to the insurance companies instead of delivering 15% in savings for Ontario families?
Finance.
Premier, Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the members' citing of the report by the Ontario Trial Lawyers Association, in which they came forward talking about some of the alarming costs that do in fact exist in our system. It is why we've taken a comprehensive plan to increase consumer protection, combat fraud, and ensure those injured in an accident get the care they need when they need it. It's about care, Mr. Speaker, and not cash, which is what we're trying to avoid in the abuse of the system. And through our Ontario's Fair Auto Insurance Plan, we are creating independent medical examination centres. We're improving care for victims by creating a standard treatment plan for those minor injuries. That way, we avoid those whiplash and sprains and, of course, legal costs, which are also adding to the costs in the system. But the Serious Fraud Office currently costs the system $1.6 billion, Mr. Speaker. We got to curb that cost as well. So we're going to work with the Law Society on their contingency fee reforms. We're going to look on postal code review, and I'll have more to say in the supplementary.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Again, back to the Premier. The Premier said it was a stretch goal to keep her promise to reduce auto insurance rates by 15%. The Premier believed that auto insurance companies just couldn't afford to charge less. But now we know that auto insurance companies extracted an extra $5 billion in overpayments from Ontario families. That's $143 every year that could have stayed in the pockets of each Ontario driver. Why does this Premier care more about delivering profits for auto insurance companies that instead of delivering savings to Ontario families who are being gouged?
Thank you, Minister.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, so in continuation, I mean, we have provided some regulatory reform with FSRA, Financial Service Regulatory Authority. It's a new authority to provide oversight of the auto insurance and regulatory power, increasing innovation and consumer protection, and greater supports to fight the very issues of fraud and curb those costs which now have reduced on average at one point as high as 11%. We know we've got to do better, and it is an issue. But we've also taken steps to put in constraints around the profits that insurance companies can make, taking the benchmark for profits down to 5% from 6%, Mr. Speaker. We've also created an expert panel that's reviewing all of these matters together so that we can work as one to ensure that we put consumers first and we address the issue of fraud, reduce the cost, thereby reducing the premiums. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Final supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, back to the Premier. Even after gouging Ontario families and collecting an extra 60% in excess profits, auto insurance companies are still applying for higher auto insurance rates as they make $1.5 billion in profit and they reduce benefits for injured in auto accidents. And this Liberal government is approving them. A few weeks ago, the Financial Service Commission of Ontario approved an auto insurance rate increase of 2.23%. This was the 6th increase in the last 2 years. After everything, how is it possible that the Premier is still allowing auto insurance companies to gouge Ontario families even more?
Thank you. Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, we are instituting David Marshall's review of the auto insurance system. It's very comprehensive, it's very detailed, and we know that by taking these steps, we are making long-term benefit changes to the reforms in the system. These are not just one-stop gap measures like the opposition has just proposed. Instead, we're making structural changes to put consumers first and address fraud, implementing measures that will provide timely care for victims of accidents that lead to savings for consumers. We recognize there's 120 auto insurance company providers out there that compete against one another. We know that we can do better, and within the system, costs can go down, premiums should go down, and we're going to continue to fight to do just that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.